Good evening, folks. So we're back to just finish up on the discussion we started about Christie Sides versus Stephanie White. And I really want your comments on what I say here tonight, okay? So I guess what my concern is that I don't want people to think I thought Christie Sides was a great coach, okay? I didn't, but I will give her credit for one thing. Christie Sides, in the second half of last year after the Olympic break, gave Caitlin Clark the ball and told her to run with it. And for the first time in 7 years, the Indiana Fever made the playoffs. They had not been to the playoffs between 2017 and 2023. In Caitlin Clark's rookie year, they made the playoffs. She was the missing piece at that point, okay? The playmaking guard, the passer who got Katie Lou Samuelson's offense going, who knew how to feed Kelsey Mitchell, developing the amazing pick and roll between herself and Aaliyah Boston, bringing out the best in Aaliyah Boston. And Aaliyah Boston has credited Caitlin Clark with changing her game and looking at things differently and muscling and hustling up the floor because Caitlin Clark is the speedster. So I ask myself why? Why in God's name would the Indiana Fever brass not want to let Christie Sides finish her last season of her contract to see if she could get them deeper into the playoffs? Because they got knocked out in the first round by the Connecticut Sun, I believe, and Caitlin Clark was tired, okay? She was tired. She was a rookie, coming out of college, no time off in between, moving to a new city, getting used to a professional league, and all that stuff. But why bring in Stephanie White, a whole new coaching staff, a whole new medical staff, and 5 new players with the claim that you were building a team around Caitlin Clark, when clearly that's not what we have seen in the first half of the season. What we have seen in the first half of the season is when Caitlin Clark takes charge of the game and runs with the ball, they're a much better team than playing under Stephanie White's slow down, Connecticut Sun, plodding bullshit offense. And the players they brought in, okay? The players they brought in. DeWanna Bonner, big name, legend. She's already gone. She was unhappy with the system. I did a lot of looking at this because there's a lot of garbage out there on social media. And I follow some of the men who make commentary, and I'm going to tell you, some of their headlines are bullshit, okay? So that's why you don't get those headlines from me, because I'm not here to suck you in. I'm here because I want to talk about this basketball thing, and I want to honor Caitlin Clark. All right? And that doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about other players. It just means that my focus here is to talk about the Indiana Fever, because that's who she plays with right now, and Caitlin Clark, and all the players that are around her. So my feeling is they could have brought in a couple of other players. Yes, Sophie Cunningham was without a doubt, one of the best things they did. Now, they brought in other people, okay? Natasha Howard, defensive specialist, small forward. I believe that she has won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times since in her career, okay? And I also believe she's had 50 double-doubles in her career. So she can score. She can score when she's playing the small forward position, because that's what she is. She's a small forward. She can score when she makes the backdoor cut and takes those feeds from Caitlin Clark. We've seen it. We've seen her miss the layups a couple of times. We've seen her drop a couple of balls. But she can score. But let her play the small forward. Why is she bringing the ball up and Caitlin Clark is playing the small forward? This is the crap I don't understand with Stephanie White's offensive strategies, if that's what we want to call them. And yes, we know Aaliyah Boston is pretty agile with the ball for a center / power forward. We know this. But why is she bringing the ball up the court? What she needs to do is get up the court, get into position in the paint. And honestly, last year, Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark proved themselves to be the deadliest combination on the pick and roll in the WNBA. And they should be making bank on that relationship, on that chemistry. They have great chemistry together. And when Aaliyah Boston gets trapped in there and can't do anything with it, she's a great passer, okay? They have it all right here. They needed a couple of more pieces. But they didn't need to go out and retool the whole team without seeing if Christie Sides could get deeper into the playoffs this year. So what do? They do all of this stuff. DeWanna Barter's already gone. Gone. She went AWOL. We got all of that double speak from Stephanie White, who's not a very forthcoming, I don't know, coach. I don't want to go any deeper than that. Well, we just have to support her at this time. She's out for personal reasons. Yeah, her personal reasons were she wasn't happy with the system. She was miserable on the Indiana Fever. Okay? That's the actual factual. So she asked for a trade. And they couldn't find a suitable trading partner, so they waived her so she could go sign with somebody. Now, so here we are. We've gotten through the first half of the season, right? We're, I believe, 12-10, I think, right now coming out of the All-Star break. The first game of the second half of the season is Tuesday night. We know that Caitlin Clark won't be back for that game. But I also don't think she's going to be out for an extended period of time. Right? She has been getting treatments, and she didn't just party over the All-Star weekend. She did get treatments over All-Star weekend. And we're coming into the second half of the season, and, you know, according to the odds makers, Fever has a good chance of getting into the playoffs, but they could end up exactly where they were last year, getting knocked out in the first round, because they're very inconsistent. And I maintain that they are inconsistent because Stephanie White's coaching has been inconsistent. She changes the lineup up based on who else is out on the court from the other team. And I just don't see that. I think you need a rotation. You need players that can get used to playing with each other. Okay? I think Lexi Hull rides the bench way too much. She's a very productive player. She is relentless on offense, and she is relentless on defense. And she is shooting 60% this year from three-point land in limited time. She spends too much time on the bench. She needs more playing time. And she has great chemistry with Caitlin Clark. And I know this, if they are going to make a run at the playoffs, I don't think like the idiot from ESPN who said that the Fever's a better team without Caitlin Clark. That is, again, one of the most ridiculous comments I've ever heard. It just, again, reinforces the fact that the media has an agenda too, to downplay Caitlin Clark's greatness because of all the players that came before her. Well, simply put, the players that came before her, as great as they are, have not been as great as Caitlin Clark. That's a simple fact. None of the players in the league right now are as great as Caitlin Clark, just 1.5 years into her career here. We've got a long way to go with Caitlin Clark in her prime. And I believe we're going to see amazing things moving forward. But we haven't made any progress over last year. We're probably record-wise pretty close to where we were at this time last year. They came out of the break after the Olympics and they won their first 2 games, and then they rolled from there. Caitlin Clark made Katie Lou Samuelson look like a killer offensively, and they got rid of Katie Lou Samuelson. Okay. There are players that are gone. That Erica Wheeler, I don't know why she's gone. I don't. So, and by the way, Erica Wheeler was a great stabilizing force for Caitlin Clark, the rookie, last year. So here we are. We're coming into the second half of the season. We're going to see how this goes. But one thing I know for sure is the Indiana Fever rocks and rolls when Caitlin Clark is running the offense. They beat the Liberty. Caitlin Clark was playing her game. Okay? They handed the Liberty their first loss of the season. The Liberty went 9-0 at the beginning of the season. They are the reigning champions. But when they have Caitlin Clark in the lineup and she's healthy, the Fever can beat anybody. So we're looking at not only a year when we have had a complete overhaul of the team and the coaching staff, but a year when Caitlin Clark has been repeatedly injured. And it shows. It shows. It shows. When she is out there, even if she's having an off night, she is affecting the game in so many ways. It's unbelievable. I just saw her in Boston on Tuesday. Was not a great night. It was clear that she still hasn't got her legs back under her because she's been healthy, then injured, then out for 2 weeks, back in, out again for 2 weeks with one injury or another. 2 quad injuries, 2 groin injuries. It's been constant this year. Okay? And it's been constant because of the way she's being played, because the players in the league can vote her the 9th best guard in the league because they're all petty and jealous. But the fact is they pick her up under the basket. They play her like she's the number 1 guard in the league because that's exactly what she is. Okay? And the only way they can stop her is to foul her. That's really where we are, and the referees aren't calling fouls. So let's see where we go in the second half. But again, as I just want to close this off by saying I am totally mystified by what the Fever brass was thinking, or if they were even thinking about making a wholesale change like this after we got into the playoffs for the first time in 7 years. We could have given Christie Sides her last year of her contract. You know what? If Christie Sides didn't deliver, right, and we had a first half like this or worse, they could get rid of her. But there was an opportunity for them to build on what they had. And I'm not saying don't make some changes, okay? You bring in Sophie Cunningham, you bring in Natasha Howard, but you use them for what they really are. You don't make Natasha Howard the point guard and bring the ball up. And you don't make Caitlin Clark the small forward and give her Natasha Howard's job. So again, I'm not convinced about Stephanie White. I'm not sure I have confidence in Stephanie White. And what I'm getting tired of with Stephanie White is that she's always putting this on the backs of the players. You know, she's always talking about accountability, accountability, accountability. But there's no accountability for Stephanie White. There's no time at all where she steps back and asks if her system is the right system for this team. And that's what bothers me the most about her. At least Christie Sides did that and gave Caitlin Clark the ball. Let's see if Stephanie White gives Caitlin Clark the ball in the second half of the season. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about why we do have the right to call Caitlin Clark the GOAT. And I've got the receipts. I'll see you then.